Hi everybody, welcome back to my LinkedIn Lives. I'm Jasmine Navarro, Certified Wellbeing Expert, working with educational institutions and companies. And as you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Jonathan. Hi Jonathan, thank you for coming.
Hey, thank you, Jasmine. I'm really glad to be here.
Me too. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yes. So my name is Jonathan Mills. I am one of the co-founders of Wellness Theory. Wellness Theory, for those who don't know, is a multi-award-winning team that specializes in stress relief and collaborative well-being solutions. We're based in the UAE, in Abu Dhabi specifically. We kind of uplift high-performing individuals and organizations to overcome burnout, anxiety, and overwhelm by managing well-being. And I've been in this space, in the health and well-being space, for must be more than 23 years now. And I'm particularly passionate about helping people find their way out of pain, whether that be mental, emotional, or physical.
Oh, wow. That sounds so interesting, Jonathan, and so needed. Because just as you were saying that, I was thinking, well, so many of us are in pain emotionally, mentally, or physically, at least one of them. So I think that's brilliant what you do. So this title, I'm very excited to talk about this. Had lots of comments about this as well. So cold therapy. Can you explain what that is and tell us why you chose it for today to talk about?
Yes, well, I chose this topic of cold therapy because it's a powerful way to overcome stress and chronic health issues. It's not just a passing trend, which I know these things can kind of take traction that way. But there's a lot of people who are doing it without caution, and this is what drives me really nuts, because when you do something with cold therapy, and you're kind of introducing, especially really cold water into the mix, you can really hurt yourself if you're not don't know what you're doing. And anyone wanting to try this should do so with someone else who knows what they're doing. And I can't stress this enough, because I see this time and time again when people are going into cold therapy for the first time, is jumping into ice baths. They're like stressing the system, their nervous system, more than it can handle, more than they're ready for, without actually knowing the ins and outs of it and how to do it in a safe way. Because cold therapy is good for anyone who really wants to manage stress levels and bring their nervous system back into balance. But I wouldn't recommend it for anyone who is obviously pregnant, for obvious reasons, but also for anyone who's just jumping on the bandwagon because it sounds like a good idea. Because we use this with many of our own clients, and we deliver to corporate events as well. So cold therapy, it's been around for a very, very, very long time. It's just become more commercialized because of one man in particular, Wim Hof, the Iceman. He's really brought it into the mainstream, and really people can see the benefits of doing it. But this has also brought in that kind of ego mindset, whereas people are challenging themselves to go colder, stay in for longer, without actually knowing why. It's more just that ego taking over and going, okay, I want to go colder than you. I want to stay in longer than you. And it's not about that. It's frequent exposure to cold is linked to a number of different health benefits. For example, scientists have found evidence that exposure to cold speeds up the metabolism, but as well can also help reduce inflammation, swellings, reduce soreness in muscles after training, or that DOMS effect. Therefore, many athletes use ice baths and other types of exposure to cold as a means of speeding up recovery after physical exercise.
No, it sounds really interesting. But before we go on, when you say cold therapy, so what are you talking about? What are you actually talking about? Are you just talking about ice baths, or are you talking about, for example, my mum will swim in the sea in England in winter? Is that cold therapy?
Yes, and basically cold therapy is classed as anything usually below 15 degrees Celsius. So but the amount of studies done around cold therapy and the benefits of cold therapy is usually anything of 15 degrees or below is when you get the health benefits from it, which is why with the majority of people that we work with, when they go, how cold does it have to be? Does it have to be, like, do you have to be breaking the ice to get into the... Well, no, you don't. As long as it's below 15 degrees, you're getting those health benefits. When you stay in, like if it's a cold shower, if it's a cold bath, it's an ice bath, going into a cold sea back at home for 3, 4 minutes, you get those health benefits from it. So it doesn't have to be absolutely sub-zero freezing temperatures to get the benefits from it. And I think that's where people go wrong.
Exactly.
It's dangerous.
So you don't actually need to have an ice bath then to have the benefits?
No, you just need cold water below 15 degrees Celsius. And they call it ice bath because it feels like you're in ice when, like, even if it's like 10 degrees, it's cold. It feels cold when you jump in. So it's just the term ice bath. Like, there's a lot of companies now that are kind of selling ice baths, but there's basically they're the cold plunge tubs where the temperature controlled from 15 degrees down to 3 degrees. So you doesn't need to be any colder than that. So you can challenge yourself. Like, the colder it is, it's a lot more challenging mentally and physically.
Yes.
It helps to promote more resilience when it comes to stress and dealing with stress.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, for example, when you're in a stressful state, when you're in a stressful situation, it's hard. When someone tells you, "Oh, just breathe, calm down." That's the last thing. Like, you're stressed. You don't want to do anything. You just want to tense up. You want to fight against it. But the good thing about jumping into an ice bath, and when you're kind of going into those lower temperatures, like those single digits, as soon as you're in, you can't think about anything else. You're forced to be present with what's happening. You're forced to focus on what's happening because it is painful at the start, but that's normal. It's ice baths are classed as like vascular fitness. It's training for your vascular system. So when you go into something that cold, all the veins in your body, they start to constrict the blood flow because it goes into that fight or flight, that stress response. It's like survival. But when you can learn to stay comfortable in the cold and you can learn to surrender and not fight against it, that's when the magic happens. That's when your nervous system begins to calm down and you begin to be calm within the chaos. And if you can get to that point where you're training that system and you train it on a regular basis, when you are thrust into any stressful situations, whether it's at work, personal life, anything like that, you're more adept to being able to deal with something that's stressful. You know how to handle it. Your nervous system knows how to handle it because you're training how to handle it.
Wow. So you're training at another time, but still it's going to help you with the stress.
Absolutely. It builds your window of tolerance. So you think if you've done no training on how to manage your levels of stress or bring yourself from a stress state into a relaxed state, your window of tolerance is tiny. It's like basically trying to climb through a small window where that's probably about like a tenth of the size of you. But the more you expose yourself to these type of environments, these stresses, which are healthy stress, if you're doing it consciously and you're teaching yourself how to stay calm in these situations, your window of tolerance builds. It becomes larger and it becomes more robust. So you're able to handle stressful situations more effectively and efficiently because you know that stress isn't bad. Cold is not bad. We're just taught that cold is bad.
That's so interesting. And so just to get that clear again, so it can be 14 degrees or 0 degrees. You'd have the same benefits, or is it the colder it is, the better it is, or not?
No, not necessarily. So the colder it is, there are more benefits from that. So you start getting health benefits of improved cardiovascular health in terms of reduced inflammation, those health benefits. And as you go lower into the temperatures, it is more challenging mentally and physically. So you start to go deeper into your nervous system, which is a lot more challenging from a stress response. So it can help you to generate kind of deeper, long-lasting results over time the more you train. And one of the biggest benefits for your body when it comes to cold therapy is that as a toddler, when you're a baby, you're exposed to cold, your body has a natural response to keep you safe and keep you warm, which is called brown fat tissue, brown adipose tissue, which we all have growing up, because as babies, as toddlers, you don't have the ability to shiver. When you shiver, that helps to generate heat to keep you warm. But as you grow older, you don't have as much need for brown tissue. So your body, it reduces the amount you have, and your muscles, you start to shiver to keep yourself warm, which you're burning a different type of fuel. But ice baths help you to generate more brown fat tissue. So the longer you're in it, and longer you're in it, but the more often you do it, your body starts to generate more brown fat tissue, which is an extreme energy user. So it helps to pull white fat in as an energy source. So for people who are struggling with obesity, obviously struggling with weight loss, ice baths can help the body to generate more brown fat tissue, which uses white fat tissue as a heat source, as an energy source. So if you've ever been out in the cold and you start shivering to keep yourself warm, if you can control that response and breathe, and through obviously certain breathing techniques, and stop yourself from shivering, your body will have to switch and start generating more brown fat tissue to keep you warm. So if you can control and influence your nervous system, your autonomic nervous system, by just controlling how you breathe, which also controls how you manage being in cold situations. So by the power of your mind, you can control how your body feels in the cold.
Wow. Oh, it's so powerful. Like when you're explaining it, it's just so interesting. So can you tell us a bit more about the benefits then? I know you have mentioned a lot of the benefits for stress. Like what other benefits are there, and how often do we need to do this in order to get these benefits?
Yeah, so for any type of cold immersion, so it's important to understand where you're at and where to start. The easiest way to start is cold showers.
Really?
Obviously, if you live in the Middle East, if you live in the UAE during the summertime, you're not going to find cold water anywhere. So, but usually cold showers are a good start, because cold plunging your whole body into an ice bath can be quite intimidating for most people, because again, we're conditioned growing up that the cold is bad, like it's dangerous, don't expose yourself to cold, wrap up, keep warm. But by doing that, we actually make our immune system weaker, and that's one of the major benefits of cold therapy, is you strengthen your immune system. So the more time we expose ourselves to uncomfortable situations like the cold, it helps us to become more resilient to obviously to getting sick. It builds our immune system. So when we are sick, it's easier to handle and recover from.
Amazing.
And that's what I love about that. But you don't even have to do it very often. Like literally just 2 minutes a day is enough to get the health benefits from cold water therapy, whether it's a cold shower, ice bath. If you live in a cold country, just standing out in the cold.
Really? That would be the same. That would be the same, just being outside.
Yes, yeah, it's the same concept. Is as long as it's if you're doing at least 2 minutes in the cold where it's minus 15, sorry, not minus 15, but below 15 degrees, you can get those same benefits. But it's a combination of exposing yourself to the cold, but teaching yourself how to be comfortable in the cold. It's surrendering to it. Don't fight against it. You're never going to win against Mother Nature. You can't win against a cold. Anyone who's tried has usually ended up it can have fatal consequences for some. So never fight against it. Respect it.
What do you do then?
Surrender.
You just accept it. You just
So if you're out in the cold, like the natural instinct is to tense up.
Yeah.
It's cold, like you rub yourself, it's cold. Is learn to relax. Learn to relax and breathe. Take long, deep breaths, and learn to kind of control your stress response. Because when you experience that, you go outside and you get that rush of cold wind, and you automatically tense up.
Yeah.
That's your stress response kicking in. It's the same when you go into an ice bath or cold shower. You get that initial shock, and that's absolutely normal. But what we want to do is switch from that into a more relaxed state. And at the start, that can take a couple of minutes. And then as you train up and you do it more regularly, you could knock that down. You could do it within 10, 20, 30 seconds. But you're always going to get that initial shock response, because it's the survival mechanism of your body. It's your stress response. It's your fight or flight. So by controlling and slowing down your breathing when you're in the cold, like you go into an ice bath and you go and you start hyperventilating.
Panic.
Panic. But if you're doing it consciously, so you know it's going to happen. And what your goal is to slow down your breathing. And the quicker you can do that, you get yourself into a more relaxed state. And eventually, I'm not kidding you, if you've never done it before, you've never experienced it, you'll get to a point after about 2 minutes, you'll be sitting in a tub that's maybe 5 degrees, and you'll be relaxing like you're in a bath, like it's not bothering you. It's
Wow.
like, it feels amazing. It's those first couple of minutes that are the pain. It's the stress response that people don't like and they're not used to.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, that time shortens, going to that shock response, more relaxed response. And then when you get out of a cold shower or you get out of an ice bath, you get this amazing sensation of what I like to call you're in a kind of state of relaxed, energized calm. So you feel amazingly energized, you're buzzing, but you're calm at the same time. It's a very weird sensation.
You're present, kind of.
Yeah, you're very present. It forces you to be present. But and then you step out and you just feel this renewed vigor, this renewed energy. But you don't feel like you're you're jumping around. You just feel like you're very calm and relaxed at the same time. It's a very surreal experience if you've never done it before.
I've done it once, and I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
I was really scared. I thought something was going to happen, but and I panicked. But the person who was like organizing it, he was like really helping, and he was just like, he was just looking at me.
Yeah.
Thank God, because that really helped me, because I went into panic mode, and he was just like looking, connecting. That really helped. And then when I got out, yeah, I just felt alive. Actually, I just felt healthy and alive. It was a really good feeling. But I'm scared to do it again, to be honest, because now I know the first minute or two is quite horrifying, if I'm honest. I'm scared to go through it again, even though I know it's worth it. But
that's absolutely normal. It's just that again, it's that survival response where your body's saying, "What are you doing? Don't do it." But it's one of those things where the more you do it, and it doesn't even have to be a nice bath. Like I say, it can be a 1 minute cold shower to start with, and so you're getting your nervous system used to that. So you can start off with a hot shower, at the end finish with 1 minute cold, and then you do that for a week, and then the next time you just do the cold without the hot, and then from there you can go into a cold plunge, and ice bath, and then you've got these progressions. You don't have to jump straight into a full immersion. Even an ice bath, you can just start with your feet or your hands. So there's different levels for different people to build your confidence up to it. And it's also just understanding that fear is a normal response, but we don't want to let it control us. We want to understand that, accept the fear, accept the fact that the cold can be dangerous, but we are smart. We're basically we're safe. And like you said, you had someone with you. You always have someone with you when you're doing stuff like this, because it does alleviate some of that fear, because you know someone's looking out for you. And that's so important. Is even Wim Hof, he's one like the ice man. This guy has been doing it his whole life. He's literally the master of ice, and when he does stuff like this, he's always got his team with him. When he does, because he understands how dangerous it is if you don't respect it. And a lot of people have died from doing ice swimming.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's another thing I want to talk about. Actually, just before we talk about that, when you say about overcoming that fear, so do you think that the more you do ice baths, the more that could actually help you overcome fear in your life anywhere outside?
Yeah, absolutely. Because there's nothing more intense than putting yourself in a uncomfortable situation like an ice bath. Especially if it's something that you've been conditioned into believing that is very dangerous, like it's not good for you, even though we know it's good for us, but as long as it's safe. And you're always going to experience fear. Fear is a good thing within our life, but it's knowing how to use that fear in the right way and not letting it control you. So even after a year, you might still have that little bit of fear there when it comes to ice baths if you're practicing that every day, but that's a good thing to have. I think the problem comes when they get to a point where they become unfearful of it. They get too, I think, overconfident, and that's when it can become very dangerous. I think it's good to have a level of respect for it and understand that it can be dangerous, but it doesn't have to be if you're safe with it.
No, thanks, Jonathan. Yeah, can you tell us about that then? How we can do this in a safe way?
Yeah, so I think it's
what are the dangers?
So with cold therapy, especially if you're going into like a full plunge ice bath, it's kind of 4 stages that follow, and it's important to understand how you're feeling through these stages, to understand when to get out, because you can get to a point where you feel like everything goes numb and you feel, oh, I could stay in here for ages, but there's a certain point where you need to feel the sensation to what's happening in your body and learn when to, okay, it's time to get out now. So stage one is the adaptation phase. That's that initial, like you soon after you come into contact with the cold, the exposed body part begins to sting. You get that stinging painful. So pressure can intensify as the seconds pass, which makes it really uncomfortable. It's that first stage that most people don't like, and it usually ends up them jumping out of an ice bath. So this is your body, your brain's telling you, get out, this is dangerous, get out. It's like your survival response is kicking in. But this is where it's important to stay calm and relaxed at this point. This is where your breathing comes in. This is when your goal is to slow down your breath. So you're taking deep, slow breaths to calm your nervous system down. Okay, because when that happens, that's when you're going into stage two. Okay, stage two is the relaxation phase. This is the nice phase. This is a phase where you go, oh, I could stay here for a long time now. So this is when you become accustomed to the cold, and you can easily, it's like, it's a numbing, you can class it as a numbing relief. So your extremities are numb, but you get that relief where everything's starting to relax, blood flow starting to return a bit, and that stinging and that pain is starting to subside.
And that's normally after about 2 minutes, is it? Like, how long is each stage?
Different person to person. Like for me, when I first started ice baths, it would take me roughly about 2 to 3 minutes to experience that. But then after doing it on when we were living in Thailand, I was doing it every single day. So every single morning, jumping into the ice bath, and then it got to a point where I could control that within 20 seconds. So I could get to that relaxation stage in 20 seconds. So it went from 2 to 3 minutes to 20 seconds, but that did take, I think it got about 2 months on roughly for myself, where some people it could take longer, it could take less. So it really depends person by person. But this stage, stage two is kind of like that calm after the storm type of feeling. It's like, oh, everything's relaxed now. I'm laying in an ice bath. It doesn't feel too cold. It feels quite good. Okay. This stage is when you have absence of pressure or pain, and you get that, or you get dulled pressure and pain. It's like it's not intense anymore. Okay. Stage three, this occurs. So you'll know when you get to stage three, when you start to feel tingling in the exposed area. Okay. So you go from kind of like that feeling dull pressure or no pressure to starting to feel tingling sensation. Usually starts with the fingers and the toes. Again, it can be different for each person. It feels like you're starting to warm up. It's like a slow burning sensation that spreads over the surface of your extremities. So when you kind of reach this stage, this is when you think, okay, you might be able to last for a few more seconds, but this is when you want to get out.
Oh, really?
To be on the safe side. Yeah. If you train your mind along with your body when you're doing this, you can learn to warm up those areas. So that tingling sensation you get, you can use the power of your mind to bring warmth and blood flow back to that area while you're in the ice bath. But that, again, that's practice. It takes training to connect, obviously, that mind-body connection. Wim Hof's proven it many, many times. Like when he held the world record for being encased in a glass of ice for, I think, close to 2 hours or whatever it was. They put electrodes on him, and he could put his focus in his left hand, for example, and the monitor would show the heat from his left hand increasing, the temperature increasing while he was in the ice. So you could prove by the power of your mind, you can heat up different parts of your body. So if you can get to that stage where you train the mind and the body, you can stay in an ice bath for a long time. But if you're a beginner, you've never done it, don't push. I would say 2 to 5 minutes maximum is all you need for health benefits. There's no need to push any more than that. But if you're starting to feel tingling and a burning sensation in your fingers and your toes, get out. Basically, like that's when you're getting
what's happening then? What's happening with your body then when you're feeling that? Is it losing?
It's just basically that burning sensation coming in. It's like things start to feel like they're heating up, and that's when if you go on longer than that, you get into stage 4, which could potentially go into that hypothermia frostbite stage. So stage 4 is when you want to avoid at all costs. Okay, so if you're usually stage 4 is that if you jump out, if you go to stage 4, when you start to really feel your whole body shaking, and you're shaking within the water and you can't control it, you're at stage 4 and you want to get out immediately. And then afterwards, you might find yourself struggling to warm up. It could take you the rest of the day, even into the next day, to fully get your core body temperature back to normal. That's when you know you push yourself too far. But this is why it's good to have someone who knows what they're doing with you. Because if you're into cold therapy for the health benefits, 2 to 5 minutes maximum at between 5 and 15 degrees, more than enough. You do not need to do any more than that. If you want to challenge yourself like Wim Hof does and try and break records, I'd say do more training on the mental side of things, as well as the physical side, because you're going to need to connect the both if you want to do hour-long stints in ice baths and stuff like that.
And how important is it for because I wasn't going to do the ice bath, so they were doing all this breathing before, and I didn't take part because I wasn't going to do it. So, but I did the ice bath and I was okay. But should I have done that breathing? Is that important to do before?
Absolutely, definitely. It prepares your nervous system to be able to better handle the stress of going into an ice bath. And this is the thing that annoys me with a lot of recovery places is that offer ice baths is people go in, they'll have a stressful day at work, they go into these places and then they jump straight into a 5-degree ice bath without preparing and calming the nervous system down.
Yeah.
And it overstresses the system. And you see people they jump in and they're tensing up, they're trying to fight against the cold, and they jump out and they're like trying to shake it off. That's not good for your nervous system. You need to prepare it, and the breath work beforehand helps to raise the pH levels within your blood to help you become more resilient, to better handle the stress that's going to hit you as soon as you go into the ice bath. So the breathing is very important, vital. Like I don't let any clients, anyone into a cold tub, no matter what temperature, unless they've done the breathing first.
And breathing, how long do you have to do that for? Can it just be like a few deep breaths, or do you have to really?
It depends on the person. So you can do a whole kind of thing around it where you can do like a half-hour breathwork session, which goes into retention breathing, consciously taking yourself into stress state, out of stress state, and preparing and balancing out your nervous system. Or you can literally do, before you go in, like 10 deep fast breaths to really re-oxygenate your system and bring your pH up in your body before stepping into an ice bath. So it all depends on the person as well. Everyone is very unique and very individual. But for me, what I do with clients, I like to take them through a kind of a 20-25 minute breathwork session before they go into it, because they find out they can last a lot longer. They can stay a lot calmer and last a lot longer within the ice bath because their nervous system is prepared, and then their mind is prepared as well. So mentally, they're much stronger to handle that stress they're about to go into.
Wow, that's really interesting. No, thanks, Jonathan. Well, we're nearly running out of time. So what else can you tell us about an ice bath, cold therapy, that we need to know? And also, how has it affected, what impact has it had on your life?
Well, what you need to know is basically it's not a gimmick. It's not a passing fad. It's something that's been done for thousands of years. It's only just come more commercial thanks to people like Wim Hof. But it is amazing. Like it's better than any psychotropic drug or anything like that you could have. It's a natural way to balance your nervous system, re-energize you, get you more focused, and also help to improve your immune response to help you heal from a lot of different conditions. Again, which tons of case studies out there to prove the effectiveness of that as well. For me, again, I used to suffer from chronic pain for like 4 years. And for me, I started with breath work, which helped me massively. And then when I got into ice baths, and I didn't get into ice baths like cold therapy until 2020. So it's only the last 4 years I've been doing them. And in Thailand, when we lived there for 2 years, I've done them every single day. And the effect is ridiculous. Your energy, focus, your immune system, your ability to be able to handle stress and shake it off after, like bring yourself back down to that recovery state is just crazy. And just being able to enjoy being in the cold as well.
And I guess it would make you more alert.
Oh, absolutely. Your focus, your concentration, your productivity, it goes through the roof.
Oh my God, Jonathan, you've sold me. I think I'm going to have to do it again. I'm going to have to try it again. No, but thank you so much, Jonathan, for coming on and sharing. I mean, we could talk about this. You've got so much knowledge and experience in this area. It's just, yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm blown away by everything that you've just said. So is there anything else you want to say before we go? And how can people find you?
Just with the only thing to say is just give it a try. Everyone has a different experience. There's no wrong or right or good or bad about it. See how you feel about it. Break and start wherever you're at, wherever is good for you. But it is a game changer when you can really get into it. And in terms of where to find me, from my website, thewellnesstheory.com, or on LinkedIn, Jonathan Mills Official. I'm on there as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And can you put those links to your website and Wellness Theory onto the post so people can just click on it and find you that way?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. And if anyone has any questions about cold therapy or stress in the workplace or anything to do with well-being, please message Jonathan direct on the post as well, and one of us will get back to you. Thank you so much, Jonathan. And thank you, everybody, and see you next week.